So I'm going to show you a technique for using watercolor to make a kind of an abstract and loose splotch of color. So you can use either a brush like this or one of these water pens, or I'm sorry, water brushes that have water in this canister here, and you can squeeze out water from that, and you can kind of it's very interesting. You can kind of keep your brush wet. Right now I'm going to use a traditional watercolor brush, and I'm going to start by loading the brush with water, and then just putting that in. This is clear water. Wetting the paper. I'm not wetting the whole thing, but kind of giving it a good soaking so that I can see a little shine. I don't know if you can see the shine on that. And then I'm going to choose a color from my watercolor palette, one that I'm using right now. I think I'll take a green, and I'm also going to wet that pretty thoroughly and load up the brush. And then I'm just going to make a drop like that of watercolor, and you can see how the watercolor just has these beautiful blooms. They call it blooming, and you can see why. It's like looks like a flower. And I'm going to, just for fun, I'm going to move it around. Do you see how the water stays and the color stays in that section that I loaded with water, and it doesn't move off of it, which is really kind of neat. I'm going to add a little bit more, maybe choose another color just to add to it. This is kind of a blue-green. See what kind of effect I can get. It looks like I need more water on my brush. There we go. Move that around a little just to see what happens. And that means it's time to add more blooms. Trying to get an irregular shape here. So I'm coming in with another color, a little bit darker. Let's see if I can get that pretty bloom going. There we go. Just shows you have to get it pretty wet. Okay, I'm going to leave that one alone. Let it dry. But you can see, you can really play with this and have some fun. This is a similar technique. I'm going to be using a little spray bottle filled with water. And I'm just going to start by spraying my piece of paper. And this time I'm using a bigger piece with the idea that I will cut it up into smaller pieces when I get it all done. And just like in the last one that I showed you, I'm going to make sure that the paper is very wet and a little shiny. And I'm going to pick up some paint, and I'm going to drop in some color, and I'm going to get some pretty blooms again. This time I'm going to use the spray, and I'm going to add some more water and tip things and just see what happens, and drop it. I'm going to go back with some more color. This time I'm going to try a different color and also drop it in. And now I'm emphasizing kind of blending different colors on top of each other, trying not to get mud, which is no fun when you do. Getting some blooms, tipping it a little. Maybe over on this end I'm going to add some more water just to see what happens. I like those blooms, so I'm going to leave those, and try another color over on this side. I'm going to try this technique, which is just tapping my brush, getting some random splotches. Let's see, I think another color would be nice. And maybe again some more spritzes to see what happens. Maybe move it back on here. See what happens with that. Now for the final piece, I'm going to take some kosher salt and I'm going to sprinkle on this while it's still wet. And I am going to let that dry. And I'm going to show you what that will look like when it's dry. When it's dry and you brush off the salt, you can see that you get these little spots where the salt actually absorbs the paint, picks it up, and makes a rather beautiful design. So that's another fun one, playing with watercolor.